Welcome to another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by Chris, the technician Aceto. It's January 9th, 2017. And, Chris, the pugilism in bodybuilding has been increasing. We're always talking about fights here, fights there. Lately, it seems like there's been a lot of aggression in the bodybuilding world, and that has escalated, evidently, this past weekend at the LA Fit Expo, which is notorious for launching the 2017 calendar season, which is pretty interesting because it's the first week in January now that we're starting bodybuilding shows, and it's just nuts when you think about it because stuff used to not start till March. Now we got things going on January 7th and 8th. It's pretty kooky. But all the hype and hoopla, all the people were at their booths, and, it's the first real big event after the holidays, and Rich Piana in the news, I guess for those of you who don't really know what's going on with Rich Piana has a company called 5%. He considers himself, I guess. Well, before I get to Rich Piana, let me ask you. I know you just got back to Maine, and I know you had a little bit of an ordeal getting back to Maine. Last week we talked about your ordeal at the rent-a-car place.
Yeah.
This week. You were flying out of the airport where the shootings were, Fort Lauderdale Airport.
I had a flight. The shootings were at, I think, 1, and it was 12. Let's see, it was just after 1. Let's say it was 1 o'clock. The shootings. It was like 1:10, and I see on CNBC shootings in the Fort Lauderdale Airport. Now, my concern was someone had shot the guy from Alamo Rental Car, who we discussed a couple weeks ago, because when I rented
and you'd get blamed for it, yeah.
Car at the Alamo desk, they wanted a marriage certificate to be able to add my wife as a second driver. And the manager there was pissed because my 11-year-old son said, my last name is the exact same last name as my father's and my mother's. It's hyphenated. So here we are, 11-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 3-year-old. Here's our airline tickets with hyphenated last names, and, you're asking for a marriage certificate. It's coming from 11-year-old.
Yeah. So, yeah, we went over that last week, and they would end up giving you the car.
So I thought, the point is, when I saw that there were shootings, I was worried about the guy at the Conrad Alamo.
That would have been better if that would have happened, but it wasn't over that. Had they ever determined what these shootings were from? Because I didn't really follow the story.
A guy, they haven't determined it, but the storyline seems to be that the guy was an American vet. He went to Iraq and was traumatized from seeing kids and elderly being shot and killed. Right. And then from there, last year, he went into an FBI office and said, or some type of office like that, FBI, CIA, something that Trump doesn't give any credibility to, and said, I hear voices in my head. People. Got to get the Trump thing in. Because I don't have any Sean Ray Diggs left. So he said he heard ISIS voices, and so it may be, the storyline goes that it may be that he's inspired by ISIS. I don't know. So anyways, we couldn't get to the Fort Lauderdale airport, and it's crazy. You're watching the news, you turn it on, and you see people legitimately, who have been shot and killed and reported on at the airport. And no kidding, the airline that I was flying on said, "Oh, your flight's going to be on time. Go to the airport."
Really? Wow.
You will, because they didn't want to, that's the information that they had, right? Apparently. But, common sense, you would think, they're going to shut this airport. I had a lady one time, the second time I had a guy. I said, "Lady, are you watching the news?" Which, of course, she's not. But I said, "There's people on the tarmac running. I don't think they're going to open in the next 2.5 hours. Can you reroute me?" And nobody would reroute me.
Wow.
So finally I called back and I said, I lied. I said, "I'm at the airport," and the police said, "Go home." So then this guy rerouted me, and he rerouted me the next day through Miami. So when we get to Miami the next day.
That's even more convenient for you.
Yeah, it's more convenient. Yeah, we get there, and the Alamo people did good, because when I brought the van back, which was having it there was like $90, $87 a day, so it was like $2,600 with taxes and everything else. I get to the counter and they said it's going to be $1,397, and so I don't ask any questions at all.
How much was it supposed to be?
$2,600.
Wow. Okay, because you rented a car for like 2-3 weeks or something like that, right?
A van. So it's more peak season, Florida. So apparently the head guy at Alamo from the radio show 2 weeks ago, or last week, or 3 weeks ago, whenever it was, who intervened with my issue I had with the marriage certificate at the Alamo desk, he must have put in the system that this guy's going to get a discount of half. So I was, even though I threw Alamo under the bus, I take it back.
Yeah, you saved. It was almost worth the confrontation with the amount of money that you saved.
Yeah, it was.
Would you
it
say
was
like
$1,000
or something like that?
Yeah. No, $1,300.
$1,300. That's a lot of money. Yeah.
It was 26 down to $1,397.
Now your kid's gonna go screaming at people because they're gonna be like, "Look, Dad saved us $1,300." It's that was like the school business take home message. When you yell and scream at people and with obscenities, you save money. You know.
Yeah. Well, we flew to DC, right?
Of course, because they can't get you directly home to Maine. God forbid. Yeah.
It's like going to where you live.
Yeah. Exactly.
Cape Coral. You can't get there in a straight line. So usually we'd go through Philadelphia, airport's closed. Boston, airport's closed. New York, snow, airport's closed. DC is open, and that's where we were headed. So we were headed to DC, and I'm thinking, oh, goodness, if New York's closed, Boston's closed, Maine's going to be closed. But it didn't snow in Maine, so we flew to DC.
Wow. And
in DC, they upgraded all 5 of us to first class.
Nice.
I took a photo, a selfie, and posted it on Instagram and tagged George Farah.
So Aaron Singerman and George Farah are not the only people who fly first class. That's the take-home message.
So, no, the good thing was that we sat in DC for on the tarmac for 90 minutes while they de-iced us like 3 different times, and then we flew off to Maine. And I got in at like 1:30, and when I got in at 1:30. I don't know when, but the entire 3rd floor of my house there had no heat. Mm-hmm. Thank goodness I left the heat on the 1st floor and the 2nd floor so that heat rises. But the odds of, the heat has gone off in my house twice in 14 years. Why does it go out, when I'm out of town? Right? The pipes could have froze. The pipes could have froze.
And that would have been a disaster if you would have come home to that.
Yeah, we would have had
Do you have someone like in your house, like when you're not there? At all?
I have somebody come and check the 1st floor because the 1st floor is only partially alarmed, so the front of it. And if the heat is on in that area, then on the 2nd floor for sure it's on. But I have no game plan like if it was out. If it was out, I'd have to give him like codes to the alarm, hidden key, the whole 9 yards, get the heating guy.
Yeah, that would have been a disaster. Is it cold? Is it cold up there though? I mean, or is it just?
It's 10 degrees today, and it was when we left Miami. It was 82.
Yeah, well, it's actually cold here in Florida. It's like I don't think it even has hit 50 yet this morning. I think it's going to get up to the 50s, but that's cold for you. We were cold last night. I completely can never go back to New York again because I'm freezing in the 50s, and usually I'm like in New York, I'm in the tank top. I'm like, oh, this is beautiful. 50 degrees in the winter. This is amazing.
It's all relative, right?
Right, but later in the week it'll be back up to the 80s again. So. I have no sympathy for anyone. I already told everyone move out of the northern states, come down to Florida.
I know. Well, you know what? I was going to send you an article yesterday, or did I? The Cape Coral, along with Sarasota and Tampa and Jacksonville, I think it was 7 out of the 10 best expected growth areas for real estate in the next 2 years is in Florida. And it's because of 1, jobs, 2, utility costs, 3, low taxes.
Should I buy?
4, everybody's moving there.
Should I buy more real estate?
I don't know. You guys were number 3 in the United States.
Number 3, new growth in Cape Coral in the country. Wow.
For price appreciation.
Price appreciation.
Potential price.
I better go buy some. I better go buy some
Potential
land.
Price appreciation. It might be one of those things like 15 years ago from now or 10 years from now. You'll say, God, Amanda, remember that lot down the street that they were selling?
That's what I'm thinking right now. I drive all over the place and I see lots and I want to buy them. I just don't know what, you don't know if the values are, of anything. It just, everything seems so arbitrary. I think I'm just going to go buy lots. I don't think I'm going to buy houses. I'm going to buy lots. We're going to go looking at lots because 99% chance I think I sold my rental house this past weekend, Chris.
Yeah.
So I'm all happy. And, I think that I'm going to take the money I make from it. I'm going to buy land. I'm going to be like a real estate mogul like Chris. Except I don't want to own any houses where people could live. I just want to own the land because I think down the road the land is going to become valuable.
Well, they're not making any more of it in Cape Coral.
All right, so getting back to the whole LA Fit Expo Rich Piana incident. So Rich evidently had this guy. Rich has this team of like complete freaks. They're like 7 feet tall. They're like 350 pounds. They're like, they have tattoos. They have piercings. Everyone's a little extreme. That's the whole 5% generation. Johnny used to be a part of that generation. He had the little 5% tattoo on his wrist, but he got it covered. So I think he's quit the 5%ers now. But all the other freaks are still there. Anyway, there was a guy by the name of Macc Truck, he calls himself, who was one of Rich's 5%ers a couple years ago, I think. And some reason he left. I don't know. I don't know what the circumstances are around that.
What's that mean? You leave? Are you getting paid to be a 5%er, or are you just?
I
fraternity or something?
I don't know what the compensation for 5% membership is, but I assume some people are getting paid. Maybe he wasn't, and that's why he was mad. I don't know. So he left, and there's been some beef between them, and evidently they've been going back and forth on social media and stuff like that. And I guess Macc Truck went to the LA Fit Expo and went to Rich's booth and confronted him. Now, right off the bat, you have to, there's been a million videos up about the incident because everyone has a phone now videoing what went on. There's even like there's fans who like broke down the whole episode and were explaining what happened. But no one really knows what happened because these fans are just nut huggers. They're not friends with these guys. They're not friends with Rich. They just hang around his booth a lot. That's how they know Rich, They don't really know Rich. I texted Rich, so I know what went on. I'm going to tell everyone what went on. And John Romano and I are going to do a little analysis of what went on later on an Iron Rage show. But for now, what happened is Macc Truck comes to the booth and is confronting Rich. And Rich basically says, look, if you and I want to handle this, let's go outside, you and me alone, not the whole posse, and we can walk down the block. And if you want to, you want to fight me, whatever you want to do, we'll do it there. Rich is not afraid of anyone, not this guy especially. And, Rich can fight. He can handle himself. He's not a small guy. Over 6 feet. So it's escalating, and Rich keeps now he's like, come on, if you want to do this, let's do this. And I guess the guy looked like he was going to smile, and he kind of feigned like he was turning away, and then he went and he threw a punch at Rich. He threw two punches. The first one kind of caught the side of Rich's face, but Rich doesn't even you could tell his head doesn't even snap back. So it obviously is not a very powerful punch. And the second one missed. Okay, at that point now, Rich's people jump in, and there's a lot of yelling and screaming, and Rich is still trying to calm the whole thing. Rich is not going nuts, he's not charging this guy. He's like, let's go outside. You could tell because look, he has a booth. He doesn't want to start a melee in the middle of the LA Fit Expo. And I guess Rich has got Macc Truck's guys, he's got two guys with him, and they're starting to instigate. And then Rich has got this guy at his booth. He's supposedly an MMA fighter, this guy Alex he's friends with. And Alex is really pissed about this because Alex must like to fight. So at some point, Alex, is screaming back and forth with one of the other guys, and the guy says something, and Alex charges him and kicks him, gives him some kind of an MMA kick. Now, the other two guys that are in that Macc Truck gang, specifically Macc Truck, they now attack Alex, and they punch Alex, and they knock him down. He gets hit hard. Rich is still trying to break this thing up and saying, look, let's go outside. Now security is coming, and everyone's around there. There's 4 million people filming at this point. Rich is not hiding by any means. He's right out in front. No one's even there protecting him. He's in front of everyone. He's right, confronting them. Like, look, let's go outside. So obviously, Rich doesn't even have a scratch on his face, at this point from that punch, nothing. And that was it pretty much because once security came, everyone kind of broke up. And Rich goes back to his booth. You can watch the video, and he starts signing pictures again, and taking pictures with people. So obviously, people, I've heard stories. Louis Sheardell sent me a story. Rich Piana got knocked out at the LA Fit Expo. I had to carry him out of there. And, because that's the initial, stories you get out of there when it first happens. And that's just not the truth. So I texted Rich and I said, Rich, what happened? And I said, because, first of all, it's a disgrace for anyone to start a fight with anyone in the middle of an expo like that with a lot of people and there's kids walking around there. Yeah, anyone can get hurt and suffer collateral damage.
That's right.
I mean, granted, there's no one had weapons or anything like that, but it could have escalated to that. But even if it didn't, what if some kid gets in the way and gets hit or something like that? That's not the venue. You don't fight. It's like one of the biggest things I used to, when I was back in the day, I had left medical school. I was running a gym at night in like kind of close to, it was between the Bronx and Westchester, and it was some tough guys there.
Which gym?
MetroFit. MetroFit.
I know MetroFit.
Yeah, Bob.
That was like the original,
Crush
like,
go there.
Yeah, it was like Oxygen Gym of the day, but go ahead.
Yeah. So MetroFit, I used to work there at night till midnight, and these guys sometimes would get into it with each other because there was some tough dudes there at night, and I had to keep the peace. I was like the negotiator, like the Daniel Webster, the great negotiator. So these guys would pick up dumbbells once in a while and try to attack each other. I said, "You guys nuts?" I said, "If you guys want to fight in here, no weapons, no, because that's when people get really hurt, But you can't control that. That's why you don't want to fight in an environment where there's too many people and there's a lot of things that can go wrong and uncontrolled variables because that thing could have turned into a whole expo fight. Because bodybuilders like to fight. They're on edge anyway. They think they're all tough guys. A lot of them. And there's a lot of guys that are MMA and do that kind of training as well, and they want to test their skills out. So luckily it didn't get blown out of. It didn't get crazy. But this is what Rich said to me when I asked him what went on. Macc and his crew, they've been threatening me for weeks. So when they came to the booth, I went up to Macc and said, "Let's walk outside of the expo, and we can handle this, just the two of us." I didn't see the point in turning into a huge gang-type fight in the expo, which I completely can back him on that one. He's like, "I have kids at my booth, and it's just not a good situation." So Rich was trying to calm things down. He said he wasn't going to do that, and then he sucker punched me in the face. My hands were at my sides, and he hit me dead on. LOL. The weakest ass punch, I didn't even feel it on my head. Didn't even move. Didn't even scratch me, my face. He's like, when I let Jason Genova slap me, he rocked me about 5 times harder. So that was it. And then I asked him what happened to Alex. He said Macc, one of Macc Truck's guys wanted to fight Alex, and Alex said, "Let's go." And Alex started pounding on the guy, and the others jumped in. Alex got from behind, got pulled from behind, and I guess he got hit. Complete bullshit. There's a video, shows it all. So Rich really wasn't too concerned, but Rich doesn't let things bother that. But it is bothersome that when you start being successful in this industry, there's going to be people that are jealous of you, don't like you, think you wronged them somehow. I don't know the story. For all I know, maybe Rich did wrong the guy. I don't know. But in some capacity, this guy does not like Rich Piana. I believe he went there to get the notoriety from doing what he did because he knew this would be videoed. His guys were videoing it when he was there, so they knew exactly what it was like. It would be like when we set up Farrah, when we took the camera out and I was filming you yelling at George. I mean, we knew that it was going to be funny, so we in essence, even though it wasn't planned, we capitalized on that, and that's what these guys did. They're trying to get famous on their own. They're trying to get their own YouTube channel, whatever the case may be, and so their 5 minutes of fame were, hey, I punched Rich Piana, But they hardly knocked him out. So, once again, drama, unnecessarily. That of the whole LA Fit Expo weekend, this is all we're going to hear about is the Rich Piana fight. No one's going to talk about anything else that went on, which I'm sure there was plenty of great stuff that went on over there. So
it's you're right. It is the only thing you're going to hear about.
We're going to see millions of videos coming out.
Maybe it's a promoter setup. Maybe it was all set up. Maybe they're really friends, and it was a way to get publicity.
That's what Johnny thinks. Johnny thinks it was a publicity stunt.
I was just kidding, but
I know you are. I know, and I told Johnny. I said, Johnny, that was not a publicity stunt. Believe me, Rich is not going to let anyone hit him in the face as a publicity stunt. He doesn't need the publicity. They need the publicity, but he doesn't need the publicity. So one of my clients that I work with is friends with Macc Truck, so he's supposed to get me his contact information. I want to find what I want to find out is I want to find out what the beef is between them, because obviously Macc Truck seems wrong. It feels like he's been wronged by Rich in some capacity to the point where he wants to fight him.
Yeah.
I say put them in a cage match together. Let them fight. Let them fight under supervision. Where no one else can get hurt via collateral damage. And let him fight. Rich seems to be willing to fight. This guy came to the booth looking to fight, so if he's not afraid of Rich, get in the octagon with him. I know Rich trains. I'm sure Rich would be willing to fight him. Raise money for charity. That's what I say. All the money you can raise, Rich can donate to his charity of his choice and Macc Truck of his choice. I guarantee people would pay to see it. I'd pay to see
it. If you could rent a booth at like the Olympia weekend, it'd probably be Isn't that zany? How ridiculous. I mean, how crazy the world is now. And I was kidding about it being fake, set up by the promoter for publicity. But could you imagine if they decided, we're going to have a fight, we're going to have it at the Olympia weekend, we're going to have it like on the stage, where they used to have like the 212s,
sure.
And we're going to charge extra for it. I bet they'd probably get like 3,000, 2,000. They get 500 people at $50.
Absolutely. I'd pay to see it.
Maybe they get 1,000 people with the hype. Maybe,
You can charge pay-per-view rights, too. I think if bodybuilders started fighting each other, it would be a lot more interesting, the sport.
The fighting round instead of the challenge round.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Imagine Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, fighting each other. That would be so funny.
No, it was. I mean, that was. Remember,
that would have to be the final round, because if someone got knocked out, obviously that's the end of the show. So
no, the closest you had to that was probably Titus and Kamali it was at the New York Pro or the Night of the Champions. The one I think Victor won.
Yeah,
was it the one Victor won?
Yeah, they were
those
pushing
guys
each other on stage. Yeah,
they were pushing and shoving, and then Kamali came back, and you know what? He tried to push Farrah off the stage too. You've seen that video, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they had some. Even though George says he helped,
I think George beat him. At that show. I think
George did beat him. I think you're right.
And that's why it's. I think it was maybe a Persian /
I'm
Arab.
sure it was.
There was something underlying.
I think that George didn't have the Persian dialect down properly, and so they were pissed off. Unbelievable. So that was the drama of the weekend, Logan wants to say hello to everyone. Logan, you want to make your Heavy Muscle Radio debut? Don't touch on the computer.
Nope. Don't touch.
All right. So this coming weekend, obviously, Chris, I'm going to be in San Diego, California.
Oh, it's this
flying
weekend.
out there on Friday. I'll be seeing Derek Farnsworth for some tissue work on Friday afternoon. And then Saturday will be the Secrets to Becoming a Diet Guru course.
Yeah.
We have a full class. I have one seat open, actually. I made one more seat available, so I don't know. It might be taken by now, but if you're
how many people? How many people in the class? This class?
There's 20 people I allowed in this class, but then there's Derek, his wife, who's coming. I invited Louis Uridel, and Pete Cicconi's coming. We had about a 25-person max, so I could probably squeeze, like I said, one more person in there. But it's going to be at Hardcore Fitness in San Diego. And that's going to be a 10-hour class, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. We'll have a lunch break, and I give breaks during the day too. It's going to be great. I haven't been back to San Diego. The only time I've ever been to San Diego, Chris, is when I got in trouble. You remember? And I had my court case, and I had to go there 3 times with Rick Collins, my lawyer, and settle the case. But each time I went there, I kind of, I was there for a few days, so I stayed. The first time I trained at that World Gym in San Diego, which was really good. I actually met, I'm trying to think exactly, the first time I went, did I see Nasser? I don't know if I saw Nasser there. I think one time I saw Nasser. One time
were you big the first time you went there?
Yeah, this was I was still competing. Yeah. So I saw Nasser there. I met him there one time. I think I had lunch with him and Rick. Another time we met Milos Sarshev, I remember, because Milos had just done some kind of movie or something like that, and he got and something happened where he got burnt. Like there was like a flame. I don't know if you remember that. He got completely singed with but luckily, it didn't really affect him. It kind of was like a skin peel, if anything. But so his skin was all red, and he was complaining. All Milos does is
was Nasser and Milos, they were friends in those days?
No, they were not friends. That's why we couldn't meet them at the same time.
Oh, then they became mortal enemies after that.
Yes, they were mortal enemies because they were competitive with each other.
Well, they could have fought, like you were just talking. They could have been the first. You could have sold tickets to that fight.
Milos could have talked them to death, probably. I'm sure.
Well, you know what? They're both talkers, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they talk a mile a minute, both of them.
Yeah. So I met Milos that time, and then the third time, I'm distracted now because. Third time I went. This is funny. The third time I went, I might have told this story before. I think I did. I was walking down the street, and these people said to me, I was passing by this restaurant. Hey, you want to audition for a commercial? I'm like, we'll give you you get a free meal if you do the audition. I'm like, all right, I'll do anything for a free meal. So I go into the bar, and they make you stand in front of the camera and say, welcome to so-and-so's, or something like that. Or I eat at so-and-so's, one of those deals. It's like, so they had us do it like 3 or 4 times. And when I left, I forgot that I had done it. Now, 6 months later, it turns out I got people contacting me saying, you're on a commercial in San Diego. I'm like, I am? They must have used my footage. And this thing ran for years, like 3 years. Because, it's one of those like local, places. So they use this, they're not going to make a new commercial. And when I was trying to get off probation early, the district attorney, who looked like Marcia Clark from the O.J. Simpson trial, she looked exactly like her. She could have been her sister. Might have been her, for all you know. She hated Rick and I because we were from New York. She thought we were like city slickers, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that she wrote in there, and when this guy came to be sentenced, he made a mockery of this court by actually doing a commercial. And I have to look at his face every night when I watch TV. This is how much she hated us. She actually wrote this in the rebuttal, and she put, and I guess at the time we were doing a lot of, Romano was doing a lot of articles and interviews with me in Muscular Development about how ridiculous the whole court thing was and how they wasted all their money, millions of dollars trying to convict me. And she actually had photocopies of the Muscular Development articles in the report to the judge.
Can you do MD a solid and post those? I've never read those. Can you post those?
Well, John, I got better than that. John has got the tapes from that. Like when he would come and do an interview, him and Bleckman and Elise, Steve's wife, came and met me at a restaurant by my dad's house. It was an Italian restaurant. It was like a week or two before I was going into jail. And it was called like The Last Supper, Romano titled it. And what he does is he basically puts his tape recorder on, and then we just have dinner, and he asks me questions, and we laugh, and we make fun of people, and he tapes the whole thing. 3 hours, worth of tapes. And then he goes back and transcribes it. But, most of the stuff is never transcribed because a lot of it's just fun talk. Bleckman say, I feel my lat, and Victor's glutes, and, Kai. And so John found the tapes. Now, he doesn't have the player for it. So if he gets a player, we could actually listen.
Oh, come on. You can't get that.
Like
what do you mean? You can't find a player.
It's the Watergate tapes.
What's it play on? 1860?
It's a little micro mini. It's like a little micro mini. Like,
those.
You could buy them. I have to buy one. I'm just gonna have John send me the tapes. I'll just buy one because I got to transcribe. I got to listen to it all because it's got to be. We will probably laugh so hard with the content that's on that tape. I mean, it's got to be classic stuff, material on there.
So the Marcia Clark lookalike.
So she writes.
She presented the articles as evidence of mockery of the court.
Yeah, like I wasn't taking it seriously, and that I wasn't regretful, and that I'm doing commercials, and like I was like like I was maximizing my time rather than just go and take my lickings like a poor schnook. So the judge actually rejected it. I had to do the full 2 or 3 years probation. Which didn't matter. I mean, it was it was a joke, but I just wanted to get off of it because I just didn't want to even have it hanging over my head. Usually after a year they'll let you off, but they wouldn't. They're like, well, we already reduced your sentence. You got a very small sentence, and so I guess he just didn't want to piss her off, because he had given me a very good sentence. It was only 5 months. which sounds like a lot, but I could have. They wanted to give me 16 months, even though didn't get caught doing anything, but whatever. It is what it is. Anyways, this is my first time back to San Diego since that episode. This time I'm going good. I'm back on good terms, though. Maybe the funny thing would be, imagine if I wind up in another commercial for the. I think it was Champs. That's what it was. It was Champs Restaurant there. I'm sure.
Did they pay you?
No, they didn't. But I got a free dinner out of it. But I don't even.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You got a free dinner.
I don't know if I even used it though, because I did when I went back the next time. I think I don't remember. Maybe I still got the free dinner. Maybe I can pick it up this time.
Maybe you can do it. Maybe you can do a satirical commercial with Nasser. No, you can do the impersonation of Nasser.
Oh yes, very much. I do not like the. Nasser wouldn't train at the World Gym there. This is back in the day. There was two big gyms there. There was World Gym and there was like Frog's Gym. It was called. It might still.
Oh yeah, I remember Frog's Gym.
Yeah, it was a good gym.
The World Gym was owned by Rick Stevens.
I don't know. I didn't know who trained, but Nasser wouldn't train there for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe because Milos was there. So he used to train at Frog's Gym. And I never went to Frogs, but I went to the World Gym because it was right near where I was going. But that was there was a lot of guys in the area at the time, a lot of big bodybuilders between Nasser and Milos, and there were other guys too living there at the time. I don't remember exactly who it was, but Debbie Bramwell lived there, and obviously Derek was there. And it was a thriving type of place. But people have moved out of California. Period. Why anyone would ever leave San Diego, I have no idea because it's beautiful
gorgeous.
there. It's really nice there. So I'll be there on Friday through Sunday. Then I'll be back. And then at the end of the month, Bros vs. Pros 29 in ProFit Gym in Deer Park is on the 28th of January. And that will, Johnny and I will be going back to New York. Then I got to actually book my flights for that. That'll be fun. I got to see my dad and get a cleaning for my teeth, my dental hygienist that I've been using since I'm 18 years old. Isn't that weird? This girl's been cleaning my teeth since I'm 18. She's like 2 years older than me. She's like or 2 or 3 years older than me. So when I was 18, she was like 21, and she had just got her dental hygienist license. She was like really cute, hot girl. And I've been with her since she got married. She had her kids. Their kids are going to college now. Can you believe it? And I just had my first kid. I said, I'm a slow learner. I said, evidently, because...
We got a 3-year-old. She's got kids in college.
But the funny thing is, she looks like she's like an old woman already. I don't feel... maybe I do look old. I don't know. I think I'm still young. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what. Your son will keep you young.
Yeah, I'm youthful. I feel youthful. I mean, she doesn't. She just looks like someone's mom. I don't feel like I look like someone's dad. I feel like I'm like that jerk off from the gym. That's what I look like. But it's interesting. I guess men. They always say men age better than women. Not all men, but men in general. I guess as when we get into our 40s and 50s, we look distinguished. But women, because they're so judged so heavily on their beauty. That I guess when they get into their 40s and when they get to their 50s, they have a different look. They have more of a maternal look to them. So I always feel like she's more mature than I am anyway. Maybe it's just my maturity level that's really low. That could be the possibility. She's very immature. That's why it took me till I was 48 to have a baby. But we were in Tampa this past week, and I actually went for an evaluation from one of the top shoulder replacement experts in the world. And his name is Dr. Frankel. And Frankel, actually, they have two types of shoulder replacements. I don't even know if you're aware of this, Chris. The shoulder basically articulates the head of the humerus, kind of sits in the socket joint. The socket is called the glenoid fossa, okay, the glenoid region of your shoulder. And so basically in a shoulder replacement, they cut off the head of your humerus, they put a titanium head on there, and then they replace the socket. They clean it out, and they put like a little artificial thing there. This guy invented what's called the reverse shoulder, where they actually put the head of the humerus in the socket, and then they put the socket on the head of the humerus. The reason they do this is for people who have torn rotator cuffs, Chris, because if you have a torn rotator cuff, a shoulder replacement won't help you. But I guess the mechanical advantage of reversing the shoulder like that makes it much more stable. So people who have problems like that, they do a reverse on them. Or if they've had a shoulder replacement and they have to replace it, they do a reverse. Now, people originally when he developed it thought he was out of his freaking mind, he told me. And then now everyone's using it. It's like standard practice.
So as an aside, I know someone who listens to the show, actually a prominent bodybuilder with a torn rotator cuff. Yeah. Tell me what a torn rotator cuff in layman's terms is.
Okay. We all know what the deltoid muscle is. It sits on top of your shoulder, basically. You have the front, medial, and the rear deltoid. But underneath that, there are muscles that almost like straps, and they hold the head of your humerus and your shoulder joint together. They're basically used so that you don't dislocate your shoulder, because the deltoid is a powerful moving movement, but it doesn't stabilize the shoulder joint the way the rotator cuff. So the rotator cuff is these straps that basically go over the whole joint there and hold it together. So if you tear one of the heads, what happens is one of your shoulder can move now. Your head of your humerus can move in a position it shouldn't be moving in. It almost feels like it's dislocating a little bit. So when you're training, there's a lot of instability there. So people just can't train with it. So when you tear a rotator cuff, they go back in there and they repair the muscle portion of it so that it's tight again, the joint, hopingly that they can do that. And that's rotator cuff. That has nothing to do with the joint. That's just holding the joint together. My joint they said, looks like an 84-year-old guy's joint, which would be like my dad's. And because the head of the humerus and the joint itself have worn away. There's no cartilage cushioning it. The head of your humerus should be round. Mine is like, I don't know, it looks like a light. It looks like the edge of a stick. Like when you put a stick in a fireplace, that's what it looks like. So it's not functioning well. And so whether I get so what I'm trying to do is find out, and I know there's a lot of people out there with shoulder problems, so this might be a good, topic. Maybe not everyone will find it boring, but there's several, I tried the stem cells, it didn't help. And this doctor told me the stem cells were not going to help you because you're too far gone. Stem cells are good for people who have just like the beginnings of arthritis, little problems. No one's going to get cured, he said, from stem cells, not yet at least. He said, but I don't even think your joint would ever be healed from stem cells because there's just too much damage to it. So that made me feel good. All right, I'm not going that route anymore. What about now? There's different types of shoulder replacements. Some doctors do what's called a ream and run. It's a partial shoulder. They do the head of your humerus, they repair, but the socket joint, they just ream it out. They basically just get all the gook and junk out of there, and then it's just that metal, humerus touching the raw bone. The problem is it takes a really long time for that bone to kind of heal over, so you're in a lot of pain for the first, it could be 6 months to a year. In some people's cases, they never get out of pain. So, he told me, this doctor, that while that you could be a candidate for that, he's like, it would probably be a painful rehab, and it would be no guarantee that you would be out of pain completely. So, given the fact he said that you're uncomfortable and you're in pain and, your movement is limited, if you get a shoulder replacement, he goes, you'll be out of pain. The joint pain will go away instantly. You're not going to be in pain. But, down the road, the problem is with that socket joint, it could break. Might take some people it breaks and never. Some people it breaks in 15 years, 20 years. They say 20 years. They say 15 years it's good for, but everyone's different. Depends on how much you use it, he said. Some people use it a lot. If you're going to weight train a lot with it, you're gonna wear it out faster. So I was like, well, I didn't know what to do because, there's a guy by the name of Dave McCafferty, powerlifter guy, who's been, who got the ream and run done by the premier shoulder guy in the world. He's called Dr. Mattson out of Seattle, Washington. Now, I had brought this guy's name up to the guy who was doing me, and he's like, he goes, yeah, everyone knows Mattson. He goes, Mattson, is like Arnold Schwarzenegger of the body. This guy obviously is a bodybuilder who I went to. He trains, and he, which made me feel really good too. He's like, Mattson's the Arnold Schwarzenegger of the bodybuilding world, only of the shoulder world. He goes, I'm good. He goes, I'm like Lee Haney. So once he's giving me the bodybuilding reference, I became very comfortable with him all of a sudden, right? Even though it's a 2-hour drive to Tampa, I'm like, this is the guy who's doing my shoulder, If he knows the Lee Haney, reference that I'm doing. Matter of fact, this Dr. Frankel, I didn't know this, but he actually had a shoulder replacement done too. I said, who did your shoulder? He says, like, my mentor did my shoulder, but he's like, I was a bodybuilder too, crazy with the weights, and I guess my question was, why do some people have joint problems and other people don't? We see some of these guys like
exactly no injuries,
no injuries, nothing. He said, and this is
very interesting comment. Injuries.
It's a very interesting comment he made. He said, your personality. I know this doesn't sound reasonable. But your personality has a lot to do with the health of your body. Some people, you have some people like they get pain in their neck because when they're stressed. Well, same thing with shoulders. For some reason, he goes, your personality is such, and maybe that's why we both have the same problem, because he needs his other shoulder done too, and he's like, we manifest our pain in our shoulders, and disease in our shoulders. Why, we don't know. He's like, that's why, he goes, I can fix your shoulder, but it may never be fixed. It's not going to be perfect. He said, because whatever caused that shoulder to break down to begin with, it's still there. That process is still going on. Even though,
what do you mean? I'm lost on the personality. You mean you like people store? I know people store stress and from friends.
People manifest pain and disease because look, cancer they feel is very an emotional disease. They think that people who have emotional damage, it affects their immune system and it manifests as cancer. And that's really how the whole. When I went to John of God years ago, that's the whole healing mechanism he does, is releasing the emotional component of disease. Because why do some people manifest disease and some don't? There's an emotional, spiritual component that we just don't understand yet. And what he's trying to explain to me is that, look, this is going to always be an issue for you. You're probably never going to be pain-free or at least have I can replace the surfaces of your joint, but that doesn't replace who your personality is. I said to him, I said, you got your shoulder done. I said, my wife asked him, because, she's the physical therapist, how long, will you be out from doing surgery? Were you out from doing surgery? He's like, well, to be honest, I did an arthroscopic a week after the surgery. I said, why? How'd you do that? He's like, yeah, I'm not very good at following my own advice. Because I guess what they do is when they have to access your shoulder joint, they have to, the way they get in there is they cut right between the pec major and the deltoid muscle. So they separate that. They don't really cut that muscle. But then to get into the deep part of the joint, remember I told you those rotator cuffs you got to cut one of the rotator cuff muscles, the infraspinatus. It's the only way to access that joint. So the recovery from this joint surgery is not the joint itself. It's the healing of the rotator cuff muscle.
The rotator cuff.
And interestingly, you know what they do? They don't cut the tendon off the bone. They cut the bone off the bone. And why do they do this?
Say that again. They don't cut the tendon off the bone. They cut the
bone from the bone. So in other words,
because the bone heals far quicker than the tendon.
Yes, you're right. Correct. I didn't know this. So putting
you know how I know that? I had
back.
bicep tendonitis once that was just holy smokes. It took forever to heal.
Right. Yeah.
And someone told me, of course, tendons. They said they take forever to heal. So that's how I knew that. My one Ask Chris question, I got right.
Yeah, so they suture the bone to the bone, and then it heals. So but then you got to be in a sling for 6 weeks, so not moving. And they have you doing some kind of ranging motions, but nothing like active or anything like that. Because once again, if you flex that rotator cuff muscle, it can tear right off again. So that's the concern. It's not the joint. The joint, he says, will be fine. He goes, after 2 weeks, the surgical pain will be gone. You'll still be stiff from that rotator cuff muscle being repaired, but the joint is not going to hurt you anymore. I said, well, that's an appealing it's an appealing part of the surgery. So it's not something I'm looking forward to. I did my investigative work. I think I'm going to definitely go with him because you're in the hospital for 3 days when they do this surgery. So it's not like I have to keep going back and forth, from Tampa to Cape Coral for 2 hours each way. So I'll go once, I stay there for 3 days, I come back, and then I think 10 days later I come back to get stitches out. But and then it's and then I only see him every couple of months. So it looks like that's what I'm going to do. I'll probably do it. I'm trying to put it off, but I might do it in March, right after the Arnold. We'll see. So after I left Dr. Frankel's office, we went and visited Titan Medical, who's also in Tampa. So we 2 for 1. And who do we run into when we get into the office, of all people? Think about what the coincidence is. We run into Mel Chansey.
You're kidding me?
Yeah, I swear to you. We walk into the office, Mel Chansey's in there. What the hell are the
odds? What do you do when he saw you? He said, "What are you doing here?" Right? That silly question. What are you doing here?
Well, I think he knew we were coming. I didn't know he was there because they told him that because I told Charisse, the owner, and John, the owners of Titan, that we were going to stop by and we were going to do a video in their office. And man, they have a beautiful. You'd love this piece of real estate they're renting, man. In this nicest building in Tampa, and they're actually moving out of it, and they're going to a bigger place because they need more room.
Nicer one.
So we did a little video there, Johnny. You'll see it, and with Mel, and the Titan crew there, and they're doing very well for themselves. There's a lot of, I've been sending a lot of people there. I know Mel sends people there. It's so convenient, you can't not go to them. I mean, if you want hormone replacement or you want injectable vitamins, I've been big on the injectable glutathione. I've been doing. If you want HCG, Clomid, or whatever, any kind of hormone they do. They actually even do Longar 3 IGF-1 now they're prescribing for bodybuilders, which is way cheaper than using growth hormone. And everything is pharmaceutically made. You have a prescription for it. It's mailed to you. You don't have to see them in person, although they told me a lot of people come there and do see them in person. But you can do Skype consults with the doctor. So if you don't live in the area and you want to sign up with them, they send you for the blood work where you live. You can use your insurance. Once they get the blood work, you do a Skype consult with the doctor, and then you can tell them basically what you want. I want hormone replacement. I want Dave Palumbo's baby-making protocol, HCG, Clomid. I want injectable vitamins, whether they be the glutathione injections for antioxidants, or you want to do their fat-burning stack. They even prescribe ephedra caffeine aspirin stacks. Can you believe that?
Oh, really?
Remember those? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great stack.
Yeah.
Ephedra or ephedrine?
It's the ephedra because it's a prescription. Don't forget, everything's prescription. So by prescription, it's legal. It's not legal if you don't have a prescription. So they're giving you the good stuff. So if people like ephedra and you were an ephedra addict back in the day, that's another great thing you can get from them. And the dosing is 100% correct, so you know what you're taking. And I think that's important because a lot of times some of these supplements aren't regulated. People put too much in there, and people have problems with that. So they're doing a great job over there. I highly encourage you, if anyone's interested, you can contact them at TitanMedicalCenter.com. You tell them that I sent you, RxMuscle sent you. You get a great discount, and they will take care of you. So, all right, Chris, you know what? Let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, let's talk about what's going on in the bodybuilding world a little bit more. I got a couple of interesting articles to go over with you, and we'll see what we got planned for the rest of the month. Guys, stay tuned. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
A legendary name in hardcore supplementation. Iron Mag Labs. 100% original, patent-pending andro compounds. The most effective, hardcore, groundbreaking bodybuilding supplements in the world. Iron Mag Labs. Revolutionizing hardcore supplementation for more than a decade. Visit ironmaglabs.com. ironmaglabs.com.
Hi, I'm Dave Palumbo, and I just had a protein shake made with Quest Nutrition's new salted caramel protein powder. And I can tell you this, it's on a whole new level. It's a total reinvention of the protein shake. The taste is incredible, and its creamy texture and richness make it taste like a real caramel milkshake. It's incredibly low carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 22 grams of protein in every serving. No soy, and it's gluten-free. Just add water, ice, a scoop of protein, and shake it up. It's that easy. I actually look forward to drinking this shake. And Quest Nutrition has got a total of 7 different flavors. They come in convenient single-serving packets so you can mix and match. Check out loveyourproteinpowder.com for more information on Quest protein powders and some delicious shake inspirations. Welcome back to Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, talking with the technician, Chris Aceto. And Chris, we'd be remiss if we did not mention the little, a lot of people don't know this, but, Donald Trump ran Celebrity Apprentice. Everyone knows that. You're fired. That's the famous line. Arnold has taken over for Trump in his role at Celebrity Apprentice. Now, I have to admit, I have not seen any of the shows yet with Arnold in it. Have you?
No, not yet. There's only been one.
Oh, there has. Okay, so I'm not really too far behind. I don't have TV. I still don't have internet. Can you believe it in my house? The only reason I'm doing this show is I'm using a MiFi spot that's costing me $1,000 a month. I'm not kidding you. Because they charge you by the megabyte, by the gigabyte. And every time I keep running up more and more and more, and I have no internet. There's nothing I could do. I'm supposed to have internet hopefully in another couple weeks. But so I haven't watched TV at all. So I haven't seen this. But evidently, Trump was not impressed with Arnold's performance. Is that what it was?
No, he took time from having lunch with Putin, and he tweeted about Arnold. He said, "Wow, the ratings at for Arnold's Celebrity Trump or Celebrity Apprentice were swamped. Then he said in parentheses, like, destroyed by comparisons to my ratings. He said, so much for being a movie star.
Trump's amazing. You know, it's funny because I don't know who has a bigger ego, Trump or Arnold. I think Trump might be bigger.
It could be a potential. You know, it's better than the Rich Piana. Who's the guy
with Macc Truck?
Yeah, Macc Truck.
It's interesting. I wonder if there is some bad blood there because Arnold didn't support Trump, right, during the election.
No, he supported Hillary. So the real dig is simply he could care less about the ratings. Well, I mean, he does. He's happy about them. See, here's Trump. If Arnold's actually had crazy ratings, then Trump would take credit and say, I laid the foundation.
Right.
For
there's
anyone's
obviously
success.
There's bad blood there, and Trump is pissed probably that Arnold, who's a Republican, would not support him. I can understand it to a certain degree, but what was Arnold's ideological problem with Trump? Do you know? I really wasn't.
Well, I think he's a big Kasich supporter, and Kasich is Kasich is the governor of Ohio, and they've been friends for years. And he is a Republican. He ran for president, so Trump supported him, and Arnold supported him. And Arnold's key issue, right, is global warming.
Right.
He was like a greenie before greens were green.
Right. One of the few Republicans who are.
Yeah, and Arnold said that it was made up by the Chinese so that they could steal jobs from us. And, I don't know which one is true. So, there's some bad blood. And, the thing with Trump is he'd take it down into the gutter. If they keep going at it, right, Arnold will say, Trump will bring up divorces and maids and everything else.
That's true. Unbelievable.
It's crazy that he's getting ready to be inaugurated and he's tweeting taunts to Arnold.
Really? Yeah, I wonder what there's got. Like I said, there's got to be some bad blood. I have a feeling they're gonna sit down and they're gonna squash it, and I guarantee you that they'll probably make up. But who knows? Anything's possible. I don't know.
Maybe Trump's next tweet is he was better on the WWF than Arnold was because they were both on.
It's true, they were.
Right? Weren't they both? They were both like celebrity referees.
Maybe Trump doesn't like the fact that Arnold was governor and that Arnold probably could have been president and probably would have beat Trump had he been a U.S.-born, citizen.
Oh, I said that on the show a long time ago. When Trump was running, I said that if Trump can win, which I thought he could win, even though I didn't want him to win, I thought Arnold would have won had he run.
Yeah, I think he would easily have won.
At least had he run around the time that he ran for governor, because that was the peak of his popularity.
Yeah. Arnold never grabbed any women's vaginas, like Trump did. He only grabbed, I think, their ass, right?
Yeah, he grabbed their ass. He said, but where there's smoke, he had to give that little speech before he ran for governor.
Right.
And he said, where there's smoke, there's fire. So he squashed that little issue that he may or may not have had with women.
Look, no one is perfect. And that's the bottom line. Everyone's done stuff that they're embarrassed about, and that they probably said, "Why the hell did I do that?" In my younger years. I mean, as long as no one committed a crime like killing someone or doing something horrible. I mean, these indiscretions are really bullshit. I think Trump showed that that's. Look, let's focus on what the real issues are here. Don't distract it with ridiculousness, So, it is what it is. You sent me a great article. I want to bring it up because it's amazing. As we get older, it seems like each generation becomes more proficient in their later years. Like when we were first born, probably what was the average age span, like 65 or something like that, or 60. Now, when you're in your 60s, you're kind of still you're like in your prime. Like people are still doing really well. Well, you sent me this article about a 105-year-old Frenchman who set this cycling record.
It's insane.
He basically rode his bike for an hour straight maintaining. He has the record for people over 105. He maintained 16 miles per hour, which is, I got news for you. I can go out for a 10-mile bike ride, and I have trouble maintaining. I mean, I have to push to maintain 16 miles per hour. Average, that is.
With a bad knee and a bad shoulder.
Amanda was horrified. She's like, "That's very dangerous," because I said, "Look, the guy's obviously been cycling his whole life." I said, "He's still capable of doing it at a very proficient level." The guy's 5 feet tall. He weighs about 114 pounds. He's shorter than Lee Priest and Sean Ray. He's unbelievable, though, right?
He's unbelievable. He's the type of guy, Dave, I would like to see you. He's not in the bodybuilding world, but sit down and do it. Yeah, he doesn't maybe not speak English, but do an interview with him, 30-minute interview.
He lives in a small flat in Paris, in a Paris suburb with a meager pension of about €900, $940 equivalent per month. And he pays Chris Aceto rent on time every month. He doesn't complain. Chris has a few flats in Paris, in case you guys didn't know. He's got two essential qualities, the doctors say. He's got a big heart that pumps a lot of blood, and he can reach really high heartbeat values that are exceptional for his age. Because a lot of, as we age, usually our max heart rate decreases, not this guy's. They're saying he could have gone faster, but he stopped eating meat recently. He decided at like 96 to become a vegetarian or something like that, and they say it's he's not recovering as well. So if he starts eating meat again, they're saying and builds a little bit more muscle, he can improve on his times for next year. That's what they're saying.
I heard he's looking for Dave Palumbo's fertility stack from Titan Medical.
Exactly. What else do they have here? Let me see. He's got Marchand is a former firefighter who was born in 1911 in the northern town of Amiens. He has lived through 2 world wars. He had an eventful life that took him to Venezuela, where he worked as a truck driver near the end of the 40s. Then he moved to Canada, became a lumberjack for a while. Back in France in the 60s, Marchand made his living through various jobs that left him with no time to practice sports. He finally took his bike up again when he was 68 years old, began a series of cycling feats. The diminutive Marchand is 5 feet tall, weighs 115 pounds. He rode from Bordeaux to Paris and Paris to Roubaix several times. He also cycled to Moscow from Paris in 92. 10 years later, he set the record for someone over the age of 100 riding 100 kilometers, or 62 miles. If the president of his teenage club, who told him he was not made for cycling because he was too small, could see him today, he would kill himself. That's great. It's according to Marchand's coach. Said that. What is it? Here's the secrets to his longevity. The secret behind Marchand's longevity, because we need this, Chris and I. You and I need to live a long time. Secrets to Marchand's longevity relates to his healthy lifestyle, eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, no smoking, and just the occasional glass of wine, and exercising on a daily basis. So that's pretty much my new philosophy. And now that I'm drinking an occasional glass of wine like my dad. He never pushed his limits. He goes to bed at 9 p.m., wakes up at 6 a.m. There's no other secret. If he had been doping, he probably would be dead by now. That's what they said.
Did they include that in the article?
Yeah, he said that. This is the coach, giving the feedback. He said if he had doped like all the other cyclists, he'd probably be dead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
According to Marchand, one needs to keep your muscles working, stay fit, stay flexible. So that's a big. He's a big believer in that. So I believe that too. If you keep moving, I think you can keep moving. I think my dad's problem was that he stopped exercising, and that's why he got all stiff in his back and everything like that. My grandfather, till he died at 92, was up on ladders and fixing things and moving around, and I think that's the key. Once you stop, you're done. You can't stop moving. So
another reason. Yeah. Another reason to have kids late in life, so you can chase them around and keep active.
That's right. That's why I got to get my shoulders done, because I need to have these. I need to be able to keep up with them. That's one of the main reasons I'm doing it, because I want to be able to
throw Logan up in the air.
Yeah, throw some footballs downfield to him. All right, one more thing I wanted to bring up, which is really great. Shelby Starnes sent me this because he knows I'm a big advocate of healthy eating. And they're showing now studies, Chris, that show you have, as we age, you will get less shrinkage in your brain if you eat a Mediterranean-type diet. Now, what is a Mediterranean-type diet? That includes fruits, vegetables, legumes, which are, nuts, olive oil, Macc oil, very little red meat and poultry, regular consumption of fish and red wine. That's the Mediterranean diet. And that's what I eat. I eat a lot of fish. I've added red wine to my repertoire, half a glass at night. I eat obviously a lot of vegetables and fruits and nuts, and I'm a big advocate of the olive oil and macadamia. Although I shied away from olive oil lately. I'm a big macadamia advocate, not just because I sell it, because the olive oil they've shown is it's like steroids. It's fake. They're putting soybean oil in all these olive oils, so got to watch out for that. The study showed in a group of 562 Scots from Scotland in their 70s, those whose consumption patterns more closely followed the Mediterranean diet experienced, on average, half the brain shrinkage that was normal for the group as a whole over a 3-year period. That's pretty significant. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool. They basically went back and asked them, like on a questionnaire, what you eat, and there's a very high correlation to people who ate that Mediterranean-type diet that their brains didn't shrink as much. And that's important to me because my dad's losing his mind now, and I'm very nervous. I know your dad is losing his mind.
Oh, Dave, we're on the same parallel.
We can't have any shrinkage in our brains. Our bodies might deteriorate, but we need the brain, Chris. No,
absolutely. Listen, there's probably nothing more cruel. Well, I shouldn't say nothing and give a hierarchy to what's cruel, but it's very difficult when your father, that's my father, or anyone's father or parent, loses their mind because they can't remember like relatives, they can't remember what they did, they can't remember how they can remember snippets, and then some days they can't even remember those snippets. Whereas wouldn't it be great to have the sharpest mind around at 80 years old and have no legs, because you could still be, very productive.
Sure.
In a lot of or many ways. I mean, I see people who at the dementia unit who look physically fit, but they can't remember anything at all.
Right. No, you're right. I mean, I'd rather have both, but I mean, mind is more important here than body. But I think it's all. I think it all goes together. If you eat right, you exercise, and you know what? As you get older, you don't have to exercise as much as you did when you were in your 20s and 30s. I don't need to go to the gym 7 times a week, 6 times a week anymore. I go 3 times a week. I'd like to go 4. Maybe as my son gets a little older, I'll be able to go 4 times. 4 times a week, I think, is ideal. And I ride my bike. Although, I took my bike out for the first time since we got moved. I got my really expensive Trek bike. I get it out.
What's it weigh? I leaned up against it, like and 13, it was like leaning against a paperclip.
Yeah, it's so light, it's amazing. You can, even with my shoulders, I can lift it up with my fingertips, which makes the bike really fast. It's very aerodynamic. I get my heart rate monitor out. Again, I get my shoes, because you wear these special shoes that clip into the pedals. So they lock into the pedals so that when you're pedaling, you're not just pushing on the pedal, you can pull also. That's the right way to pedal. And so I'm on the bike. I push off the driveway. It's like it was kind of drizzling earlier. I like to ride like when it looks like it's going to rain, because smells nice out. It was good. The weather was perfect. I start pedaling. It starts raining a little bit. I'm like, all right, whatever. Florida, that's normal. I didn't look at the reports. Didn't say it was going to pour, so I knew that I'd be fine. But it was raining. But I'm like, okay, I'm going out. Now I start seeing some thunder and lightning. So I'm like, maybe I should turn around. So I'm about a mile out at this point, and I turn around, and my pedal comes off. Now, when the pedal comes off a bike like I have, an expensive bike, okay, your foot is still attached to the pedal, because remember, my shoes are clipped in, so my foot's hanging with the pedal hanging from my foot, and I got one other foot that's still attached to the bike. Now, that's not a very stable way to do it.
Bad knee and bad shoulder. It's all
right, with no stability for my shoulders, right? So at this point, I slowly stop, I unclip my other shoe, and I'm on the ground. I'm like, all right. I got to get off the bike. It's raining now, of course. It hasn't rained since I've been here, but it's raining because I'm on the bike and my pedal.
You're biking.
So I have to unclip the pedal with my hand, which is hard because it's hard to clip in. But with your foot, you have a lot of strength with your foot. So I unclip the thing, and I'm like, all right, maybe I can screw this pedal back on because it looks like it has a thread. But the thread goes, I'm trying. It's not, I can't get the pedal back in. I'm like, you know what? This is ridiculous. I'm soaked. I had to go drop my dogs off at the groomer. Like, what the fuck am I going to do? I'm like, I got to ride back. I said, I wonder if I could ride back with one leg. Now, of course, the one leg that actually is still got the pedal attached is the one with my torn quad. That's the weaker leg that I haven't even rehabbed yet because I wanted to wait a year before I really started rehabbing it. So there is some strength there, but it's not a lot. So I clip in. Okay, I push the bike. I start going, and I clip in, and I start pedaling with the one leg. The other leg is just hanging now, and I'm holding the pedal that fell off in one of my hands. So what I would do is I pedal about 6 times until the bike is coasting. Thank God the bike's light. And then I have to just coast because my glute is killing me because you can't just pedal with one leg. I don't know if anyone's ever tried it. It doesn't work. It's very hard to try to pedal a bike with one leg with the other leg hanging off. And there's no place to even put that foot. Like there's physically no pedal there. It's gone. There's no pedal. There's no place to rest the leg or anything like that. So I have to do this 6 pedals, coast. 6 pedals, coast. It takes me like 15 minutes to get, maybe more, 20 minutes to get back to my house to go 1 mile with one leg. I said I probably got a better workout doing the one leg pedal than I would have if I would have done 8 miles with 2 legs. I was so sore when I got back in. And of course, the second I rolled into my driveway, it stopped raining. So I go to the Trek store. There's actually, it's almost unfathomable that Cape Coral has a Trek bike store. It's called the Trek Bicycle Store. It's just Trek bikes there. Of all the brands I could have bought, they have a Trek bike store with a full staff of like people that just fix Trek bikes. That's it. It's right next to the grooming place. Ironically enough, I drop my dogs to the groomer and I say, "Holy shit, there's a Trek bike store. I didn't even know this." So I bring my bike back there and I'm like, "Can you get this can you screw this pedal back on? There must be a tool to do it." They're like, "Well, it's a wrench usually." I said, "Oh." And they look at the bike. They're like, "Oh." I'm like, "What? Because they're like, it's stripped." So
which means what?
It means they have to do something to help rebuild up the threading in there so that the pedal can stay in there. Now, if they can do it, it's a little fix kit. It's fine. But if they can't, they got to replace the whole crank. It's called the crank, the portion that hangs down. One side, it's like a Mercedes. One crank, or it's one piece of metal. It's not even, I don't know, it's like a light titanium metal. It costs $200 just for the part. Just the part. So that my pedal can screw into this new bike. So if I had to replace both sides, because they don't make mine anymore, they found one. They had one left of the one that I needed. If they didn't have that, and I had to buy a whole new crank set for the new upgraded modern one, which is only 2 years upgraded. The bike's in 2014. It would have cost me like $700 or more, I think. And then that's not including them installing it. So it's more expensive to fix my bike than it is like to fix my car, which is pretty crazy.
Well, I to make you feel better, I bought a bike at Kmart for $97, and I have not used it. Yeah. No, I was all excited. I was going to use it. I was going to do this. I was going to do that. I've not used it.
I'll tell you something. When you buy a bike like I bought, because I have a regular. I bought a Trek bike that was like $800 or something like that. I bought Amanda and I bikes originally, and we bought a nice bikes, but they're not high end, but they're nice. And I, of course, and I've told this story before a couple years ago, I had to have a better bike immediately because I got into the whole bike thing. It's like supplement industry. You start reading about all these different supplements, and you're like, wait a second, that protein powder I bought at Costco sucks. I need the best one. I need to go buy the Isolize. That's how I was with the bike. I'm like, I started doing research. I'm like, I need the best bike now, or at least a better bike. And so I went and I bought a better bike. But I'll tell you something. It's a very addicting hobby, just like running was when I first started. But cycling is there's so much gear you can different gear you wear and little things with the bike and little fine tuning things it's got. I love when I'm on my bike. I love it. It's not like when I rode a bike when I was a kid. It's like it's an experience. And if you haven't got into cycling, anyone who wants to help improve their health and get a little bit of cardio in it, it's so much more fun to cycle outside. Although if you live in the north, it's freezing now, so you really can't do it. But I would in the north when I lived up in New York, I would put the bike on a trainer. It almost turns it into like a stationary bike, and I would pedal there. Not as fun, of course, as going outside and pedaling, but there's a lot of Cape Coral is very flat, so there's a lot of places to cycle around here, and there's not as many cars on the road. Not yet, at least. Probably in 10 years, it's going to be like Long Island here. Probably.
Maybe 5 according to that real estate report.
That's right, Chris. I think you and I should start our own real estate.
Well, I got a builder in Miami. Dave, I got somebody. You know what? I actually thought the first thing I thought of when I saw the report was my best friend in Miami is a home builder, and he does one at a time. You know what I mean? Right. And he's, he knows numbers. He comes in on the budget. He's most important thing. He's honest and incredibly honest and 100% dependable.
Would he cross coasts and do building on the West Coast?
Wherever there's money, he will drive to it.
Okay. So maybe we should. Maybe you and I should start building some houses one at a time. And then we can, how my grandfather, who was a bricklayer, used to, when we would drive around, he'd be like, I built that. I'll be like, oh, Chris and I built that. Yeah, we built that house. Even though you and I didn't do anything aside from putting the money up for it.
Yeah. I say that a lot of times with remodels. So people say, oh, you did this? I said, yeah. And they said, how do you know how to do it? I said, I don't know how to do any of it.
I just hired the guys who did it.
Yeah, I just hired the people. But I walk through. I walk it through and talk a big game.
I know.
When someone does, you can convince people who know less than you.
Absolutely.
That you actually did it.
Well, I'm telling people I'm building my facility on my property now. I go out there every day and I watch all the people. I tell them what to do. I'm like, I want the light here. I want the electricity here. I want a plug there. And so I'm building it. They're building out the RxMuscle facility. It's all electrified now. The plumbing's coming in this week. I think the air conditioning guy's coming. So
I was impressed with the sprinklers.
Yeah, you did like the sprinklers. I'm trying to figure out what to put on the floor. What kind of flooring to put down. I haven't.
Is it concrete right now?
Well, the second floor, which is where the RxMuscle offices will be wood floor, but there'll be a plywood floor. But I don't know if I should put tile on it or if I should put like a wood or I don't know. I'm trying to decide. What do you suggest?
Well, I always think tile is nice in Florida, but wood adds a contrast, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you expect in Florida, you typically expect tile or marble or something like that, but hardwood is always a nice contrast.
What's more expensive? I don't want to spend too much money on this thing. I don't want it to be like the Taj Mahal in there,
What's least expensive?
Yeah. What's the best way to go? The most durable, but it's not cheap looking.
You can get nice looking tile that probably can come out looking better than nice looking marble.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay. So that's the way to go. Tile's the way to go then. Yeah, marble's got to be expensive.
Tile's all in putting it down. The way they put it down, and sure. If it's has a sheen to it, the tile, it's gonna, it's easy to clean up. It's less maintenance than marble.
Right. Maybe I'll put carpeting, like a very flat carpeting, in Johnny's in the studio to help dampen some of the echoing.
The sound.
Yeah. All right, we have a lot to. The fun part is coming. Once I like the decorating part. The right now we're just doing the mechanics part of it.
The painting and putting the pictures on the walls.
Yeah. That's the fun part. Yeah. Once it's all built and the walls are closed in. Anyway, what else?
The alligator. My kids were concerned you had an alligator sighting on your property.
We did. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
You know what the first thing out of them? You know what the first things out of their mouths were?
What?
They were concerned for that white cat, and I said he has a son, and they go, "Oh yeah, you're right."
They thought my cat was more in danger.
They both thought the cat was going to be in trouble. I said, I think if you got big alligators running around the backyard.
Well, this is the whole thing. We had that. You saw that. We have that river in the backyard. And there's definitely alligators in there. I had never seen one, but I know they're in there. Now, they don't really come out of the water much, but the people across from me, the guy is a vet. He's across the way from me, and he has goats. And he has goats, and he has a donkey, which you saw, okay? And the goats, I guess sometimes, they come by the water, they graze on the grass there, and I guess the alligators will see these goats and say, this looks like a good snack, And we were in my kitchen, which there's a huge bay window there, and you can see out in the backyard. I'm looking right now out, and I'm watching the goats. And we see the donkey charge the water, towards the water. Now, there's a tree in the way, so we didn't know what it was charging at. We thought maybe it was charging at one of the goats, but it was really aggressively charging. And then all of a sudden, we hear a splash into the water. And I'm looking around, and Amanda sees everything. She sees an alligator jump out of the water. She's like, "Did you see that?" I'm like, No. We run out to the thing, and it must have gone under the water. So there must have been an alligator basking on the embankment on the other side, which is where the sun hits. Luckily, the sun doesn't really hit on my side. It hits on the other side. And it must have been basking in the sun, or maybe coming up to see if they can get a snack. I think it was probably basking, and then when the donkey saw it, it was protecting its friends, the goats, and it charged. Because, donkey's a big creature. No alligator's taking down a donkey. And this thing charged, and it scared the thing into the water, and it swam away. So we definitely have confirmation that there's some alligators in the water. How big they are, I don't know.
Well, I guess it's not how big they are, how big they can get.
Yeah. Like if I saw some little ones basking, that would kind of be cute, but you don't want big ones. So I'm gonna probably have to build some kind of a gate, I think, because I know my son. If he's like me, he's gonna want to check things out.
He's gonna want to explore.
Yeah.
Listen,
I'm gonna scare the hell out of him, though. I'm gonna tell him that these things, kill you, and I will terrorize him. He's not gonna want to go near any alligators. So I want to build a dock. There's like two doors on. There's people that have a dock built right out. So this way he could just walk on the dock and he can look out, and I'll have it all gated off. And because I know kids are going to want to explore and watch the water and see maybe fish, but I have to do it I don't want them walking down the embankment, at the shore there, because if something does come out of the water, he might not be able to get out of the way. So I'll build a dock to tie up so that nothing can get to him. I think that's a better way to be. Not that anyone who's listening even cares. I don't even know if anyone even cares about what we're talking about. We haven't even mentioned anything about bodybuilding aside from the Rich Piana fight, the whole show.
Well, we had the Rich Piana fight, the Arnold versus Trump dispute, sure. I think that's it. A bodybuilding show with two items.
That's right. So right now we're looking, we're working on getting our sponsorship for the Arnold Classic. Assuming we get a sponsor, we have a couple irons in the fire. We will be there in full force.
You put in the plug for the RxMuscle YouTube station. You never do.
I know.
I have to bring it up.
We've surpassed 68,000, so that's good. We're working towards 69,000. I wanted 75,000 by the Arnold. I wanted 70,000 by the end of the year, but we didn't get it. We got close to it though. Let me see what we're at. Yeah, we're at over 68 now. 68,147. So we're gaining. I have to remind people. I know people that watch our stuff all the time. I'm like, do you subscribe to the channel? They're like, no. How do you do that? It is people don't want to create an account. You have to create an account with YouTube, and then you can subscribe. So it's silly not to, because if you subscribe, you get notifications when new videos go up, which is always cool. So make sure you do that. I want to also bring up the fact that I have a new app out, or a relatively new app. It's called the Dave Palumbo Experience. And it's a compilation of all my articles I've written, all my videos I've done. It gives training advice, diet advice. All my diets are up there. There's daily updates. My partner, Mark, who's terrific with this, when you subscribe to the app, Chris, you have like an email account in there, and he sends you every day, every time he puts new stuff up, so you know what's going up, all the newest stuff, and you can just click on it. Plus, there's a feedback at the top left corner of the app. You can hit the button, and there's a feedback link. You can submit any questions you want to me about anything that you might have questions about, and I do a private Q&A video every week for the app. So that's something that people really enjoy, because the general public doesn't get to see that. And that's very detailed information about diet, training, drugs, everything like that. So that's another terrific advantage of the app. It's very affordable. It's $29 a month, and I got news for you. iTunes takes most of that money from me, so that's why we have to charge $29, or I'd get 50 cents every time someone signed up. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because I need a place to compile all my information as a reference. It's almost like I built my own library. My Dave Palumbo app is a library of all my stuff that I teach, and it's a terrific reference. I know a lot of people with the snow in New York signed up for the app this weekend, and they said they spent the whole weekend just reading all the stuff on the app and watching the videos and stuff like that. So I'm glad that people enjoy that. You can check it out at the App Store on your Android phone or your iPhone. They just put the Dave Palumbo experience in there. What else is going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness? What's going on your end? What do you got planned? Are you going to be going to Australia this year and all? For the Arnold?
As few trips as possible. I'm going out to the Arnold in Ohio.
Right.
And that's it. Arnold, New York Pro.
Yeah.
Trying to stay as close to home as possible.
Yes, you got a lot going on. So, all right. Well, Chris, I got to go do some baby making, and that's our newest thing. We're trying for the girl, you know. But Amanda says if we have another boy, then we have to go again a third time. So. I think 3 is. She'd probably like that more, but I think 3 would be the max. But I'm praying to the gods that they give me a girl. If I'm anything like my dad, I'll get the girl because he got the boy and the girl.
Well, she'll still want to go for 3 after that anyway. So she's
so?
just she's just.
I'm too old. I'm not old. It's all in the mind. I got to keep eating the Mediterranean diet. I got to keep my brain from shrinking. And maybe we'll get Rich Piana on a live with this week because I this whole incident is really disturbing me. That people are very disrespectful. I mean, how dare anyone go in there and challenge Rich Piana to a fight at his booth in the middle of the LA Fit Expo? I mean, you know what? That's bullshit. If you have a gripe with the guy, do it outside the venue. You don't do it in a public venue like that. That's a publicity stunt. If I've ever seen one.
Well,
and it was disrespectful to Rich. I don't give a shit if you like Rich or not. If you think what he stands for is crap, that's fine. But respect the person, respect the public, respect the show. Because you know what? That was disrespectful to the people at the LA Fit Expo. They have to worry about having security issues there, and then, God forbid, LA County doesn't want to let them have a show anymore there because we got a bunch of meathead bodybuilders trying to fight each other in the middle of the expo. I mean, that's just bad sportsmanship. It's just bad karma,
Well,
don't
it's
start
a publicity
fights
stunt.
with people in public places.
It worked, Dave, if it's a publicity stunt, right?
Yeah,
because we're talking about it.
Right, but you know what? Someone could have got hurt also.
No, I know, of course.
We're lucky no one got hurt. But you know what? The guy Alex got punched in the head. I don't know. Maybe he's got, concussion now. I don't know. We don't know if it's going to lead to brain damage later in life. Rich got punched in the face. Rich didn't ask to get punched in the face. This guy just took a shot at him. It's funny because everyone's like, oh, cheap shot, cheap shot. If you do start challenging someone to a fight, you better be ready to fight. That was always the, anyone I have a lot of friends who are fighters. Once the challenge is there, once you start talking back and forth, you better be ready to fight. And that, I think Rich kind of was, because even though the guy kind of caught him on the side of the face, he missed the second punch. So Rich obviously was on his toes, even though his hands were at his side. He kind of was like, he knew something could happen. But look, that's what happens when guys start arguing back and forth and calling each other out. You better be ready to fight. So there's no such thing as a cheap shot when you're talking smack already. A cheap shot is when you're signing a picture with someone and someone comes up behind you and punches you in the back of the head. That's a cheap shot. A cheap shot is not face to face. So it is what it is. Like I said, Rich kind of gave me his quote. Maybe I'll get him on the show. If this Macc Truck guy wants to talk to me and give me his side of the story, then I'll be more than willing to listen to that as well. You guys know how to contact us via RxMuscle.com. For now, though, Chris, we're out of time. Until next week, remember, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.